April 27th, 2025. How's it going, guys? Well, I've got another video for you. And what we're going to talk about? Well, we're going to be talking about T-Mobile and the UFC fights last night. Now, the UFC fights were pretty good. There was a few incidents in those fights, too, on top of it. But we'll talk about that later. But T-Mobile. Now, never been down there before. And I had talked about this about 2 months ago that I was going to do a video about going down and parking downtown. How rough is it, and all that. So that's what I set out to do yesterday afternoon. And we left out a little before 2 hours before time because we didn't know, they said it was going to be about 80% packed. It holds, I think, 20,000 people down there. And didn't know how, if it was like the stadium up here, if they, go several hours and it's real hard to get in. We never been down. Now, I have been down the Power and Light way back, and that's another story in general. But I thought, well, we'll go ahead and we'll try this and see how this goes. So we went down there, and we parked, and I did a 15-minute video. You guys check it out. But ran across a lot of different things. And there's usually homeless down there. What I thought was kind of weird was they were more up by the police station, the courthouse. Usually there's some churches. I used to work down, it was called Citywide Chemical, and I shipped hazmat material, and I worked on machinery for them. I did a little bit of everything. But it was right across from the Hereford House, and they'd get down there. It's kind of like a mission-like church. There's a lot of churches down there. And I don't know what they do now, but a lot of them were piled up around over there in that area. And this one gentleman, he was in like a wheelchair, I don't know if he was homeless. Like I say, he was with all of them over in that area. And he said, not much here to see in Kansas City. Guys, check it out. But when we turned down the next block, there was a rat. And at first it looked to me like it was like a squirrel or something, but it was white. And we got down there and I could see its eyes, and it had red eyes. So I assumed it was a rat, I guess. And I mean, now all the 3 years I was downtown, I never seen a rat. Now when they'd have their parades, we had people that would climb up on top of the dumpsters and poop and pee in the dumpsters during the parades down there, but not that anyway. I mean, that's Kansas City. So we go on and we get to the T-Mobile, and we had to stand out there about an hour. That's not no big deal. We're just waiting. And the first thing that come out, this black guy comes out. He talks to everybody and says, if you come in, you can't never leave. If you leave, you got to buy a whole nother ticket. And I thought, oh boy, this sounds like a winning thing already. Now, a lot of places do that. Bars do that because they don't want people going back out and drinking and doing other stuff and coming back in. I mean, why not just say what it's worth? Don't lie about it. And that's probably what it had to do with. But we ran across some individuals, and now, you got to understand something. Let me get back here for a second. We spent over $200 for two assigned seats. Two assigned seats, okay, that we could sit in. And supposedly you see this boxing tournament, basically, the UFC. And this was a nightmare. The first thing, we had two guys that came down beside us. And I don't know if they had seats for that location or not. But they smelt and reeked so bad of weed, it wasn't even funny. Now, they're supposed to be kind of screening all this stuff out. It smelled like they'd been smoking it in the bathroom because it was way too strong. Now, when we left this place, let me explain something. When we did leave, I didn't smell no weed on most of the people. But these two guys, yeah. And they kept going back and forth, and then they had bought some booze too, some beer and stuff and everything. But then they went way high up with this. It looked like there was a Latin guy. I don't think the other two were Latins. I think they were just white guys, regular white guys. And I'm going to show that. But here come another couple, and they had basically a sign like ours, okay? And they were sitting down there. And they got up and left to go get some food. And there was another, I think it was another Latin guy with some kids that just plopped down and just sat there. It was like a free for all because nobody was sitting in the seats they were assigned, nobody to enforce it. Now you got to understand something. We go to up here to Ameristar. We go to concerts up there. They take you down, they walk you down, show you where your seat is. You know, this is your seat, this is where you have to sit. Well, there, it's like you just go anywhere you want to. I bet if we'd have went down to those there's a whole bunch of those, I think they were like $500,000 seats. I bet if we went sat down there, I bet they would have had a fit. Now, this went on, and then more groups of people kept doing this. And there were, but in the meantime, in the beginning, when these two guys, it got to the point where they were going back and forth. I went up, I talked to one of their, I don't know what they're supposed to be. I guess they're not much security. They got a walkie-talkie in their hand. But that's about it. I told this guy, I said, well, you need to get somebody security to come down here, kind of stand here, just kind of level it out. Never showed up. So this went on for a couple, 3 hours. And about 10 more guys come in. They sit down over on the other side. I heard them say, yeah, I said, if they want us to move, we'll just move, you know. So it didn't mean anything. If you were up in the upper tier on the top levels, you could just sit anywhere you want. On top of that, they were only, what I understand, 80% full of capacity. And they had pulled down these other like TV screens. And then they had taped them off so the projector so they could project over. Well, that created another problem because some people were wanting to go to the other side and they were crawling across the tape. Nobody stopping them. Nobody down there to keep the peace or anything. I'm going to show that. But there was a lot of Kansas City, Missouri down below just on their cell phone and nobody doing nothing. Oh, they were escorting the fighters through, but nothing else. So, like that, several hours went by and finally got back up again because it had this other person almost fell on top of us. Went back up there, talked to one of this other lady, and she walked down there with me and she looked at the stuff. And she didn't know what to do. So he said, go to the security booth 205. Okay. So I go to security booth 205, and they couldn't even really figure out what to do. They said, we'll give you a couple more seats. We'll just get you out of that area. It was like, oh, okay. No, if you can get, about the same, equal, whatever, I don't care. But we paid for those seats. And I want everybody to know anywhere in the world, anywhere in the United States, if you come to T-Mobile in Kansas City, you probably won't be sitting in your seats. You might get to sit in your seats, but they're going to be jumping all around you. Now, if you're going to a bar or someplace, I guess that's okay. But if you're paying $200, I bet, like I say, I bet if we'd have went down to $500 or $1,000 seats, I bet they had a fit if we'd have went down there. But that's not the point. If you pay for a seat, you should have it. And legally, I would think if you went to a lawyer and they said, okay, you paid for this seat, this is the seats you're assigned, well, then you should get your money's worth. You should get to be able to sit in your seat and watch the event, And then there was lots of other things that went on during the still too. Some of the people, when they were rude, they were booing on some things. Now, these fight events, we went to several in different other places. And sometimes they get rowdy and stuff, but nothing like this. This was just, I don't know. And one of these old guys that went to retire, that was finishing up his career, somebody, I guess, had flipped him off or something. I think there's something, it talks about this, that somebody had wrote about it. And somebody, I think it was from Nebraska. Was that Nebraska or what was that, Dylan? Nebraska? Yeah. Anyway, and I guess he was threatening the fighter guy. And that's where you can see and if you go back and look at this, where he was over at the fence at the other guy. This is after he got beat up by I think it was the Chinese guy or whatever, one of the guys that he was fighting. Unreal. So, no class, no nothing. But on top of that, like I say, we paid $200. We didn't get our money's worth. And it's just like they get away with it. these places here in Kansas City get away with it. And like I say, the other ones, I mean, the ones, I know they had been smoking in the bathroom, that weed, because it was way too strong. If they had come through the front door, through security, they could have smelt that. No. They were smoking, and it was way heavy. But that wasn't the half of it. They weren't sitting in the seats they were assigned either. Now, I'm going to show that. I'm going to show a couple that was sitting alongside us. I'm going to show these two guys that went to the top tier with this Latin guy. And they were, like I say, you could smell them a block away is how bad they smelled. And then I'm going to show, after the other couple had left to go get something to eat, where this other bunch come in and just sat down and took over. And then when they came back, they made a move. But nobody to assist anybody at T-Mobile. No security to assist anybody at T-Mobile. And I can prove it. I can show it. Not good. And Kansas City, Missouri, like I say, they had cops all over down on the floor. What were they doing? This one guy, he was on his cell phone. I'll show that too. Just, nothing. Well, I mean, I would not go back to any event at T-Mobile. Definitely not. I mean, we've been out in Las Vegas. We've been to St. Louis. We've been all over. And never. We even been down here, what's that other one over in the Kansas side where they do the boxing too? Can't think of it right now. Of course, they have like 50 Kansas City, Missouri cops down there, or Kansas City, Kansas cops. It's that one in front when you go through there and stuff. They keep the peace there, but nobody fights over their seats there. They sit in their seats. I guess downtown here by the Power and Light, they're just like I say, that's why I don't go down to Power and Light, because it's just free for all, and it's like going to a bar. They just jump everywhere. But if they're not going to have assigned seats, why assign you seats? Why? And then, like I say, these basically these TV screens that were pulled down, to me, it was just like almost like to hide the areas that they couldn't fill, maybe. Because the center screen, you could actually see it very good from every angle. Oh, and get this, guys. They made us 2 more tickets up, and when we got to where we were supposed to be, guess what? There was people sitting in that seat too. We had to go on over down the other side, and we sat over by the caution tape over there. And what BS? I mean, if you're going to spend money, I wouldn't spend it at T-Mobile then, because why? I mean, I guess if you got money to blow, you don't care, and you want people crawling over you that smell like weed and everything else and all that, I guess go for it, guys. But I'm going to show that. Hold on. All right, guys. Now, let me get a pen here. These two guys here, they were sitting here. They sat with this other guy. I think he looked like he was Latin. And these guys just look white. But these guys stunk a block away. They were reeked of weed so bad. It did smell like they had just, I mean, man, it was heavy. And they had crawled down about, I don't know, maybe it's about 13 to 15 different chairs down further than that. And they kept walking past us, sitting beside us, back and forth. I'm going to show you where that was. And this was a joke. But you see this tape. You see this caution tape. Now, they were over on the other side. And nobody had any assigned seats. So hold on. All right. Now, this was a couple. I don't know if they were Chinese, Japanese. They were some kind of Asian. But they actually, when they came down there, they were like us. We had our phone with the deal, and we had shown as we'd walk down. They had their phone still lit up where it had the barcode, for the numbers of the seat and stuff like that. But hold on, guys. I'm going to show you something. Hold on. You see all these kids, these Latin kids and this Latin? They just plopped on down there. Now, the other couple that had the tickets, they had basically went to go get food. And when they came back, they made them move. But they didn't care. So who was running the show here at T-Mobile? Who was doing that? I mean, this proves right there that this stuff was going on. It was just a free-for-all. Now, you can look around here at some of these other sections. See how these other 2 sections here? There was 4 sections by these like screens. And they had tape. You see that line, these lines here, tape? And some of them, they had projectors going down from there. And these people on the ones where they did have seats, some of them were even crawling across these tapes across there. Not a very organized deal, but it was a mess. Well, look at all these seats down here. Now, I bet me and my son would have went on down there. Guess what? I bet they would have had a heart attack. We'd have probably been handcuffed and up there in jail by midnight. Well, this is what to expect at T-Mobile. Oh, yeah, guys. And see, we were sitting back here from this back seat. You see this white guy? You see this black guy? Well, they had sat in 3 different places. They had been down in front here. They'd been over here. They had been back over here. And they were just sitting anywhere they wanted to, too. So it didn't matter. Well, just remember, if you buy a ticket there, your ticket means nothing at T-Mobile. It means nothing. Oh, and here's a shot right here where they had actually had the Asian guy and his wife or girlfriend or whatever had made that other Latin bunch move because they just plopped down there. So what's T-Mobile got to say about this? And their security, they don't even honor what you buy. Oh, yeah, guys. And there was a lot of Kansas City, Missouri cops and security down here. As you see this one here, this one's on his cell phone. But I'm going to show several other ones on the other. And they just were escorting the boxers out. I think that's all it meant. That's all it was important. You know, that's all they were there for. Not to help anybody or assist anybody anywhere else. And T-Mobile sure wasn't providing the service that they said, so hold on. This is another angle. These are all officers, police officers. Can't see them as police officers. You see, they're just over here. Well, out of all the ton of manpower they had, they didn't have anybody up on the upper tier to walk around. Yeah, look at that. Doesn't that look great? This is Kansas City, guys. All right, guys, what I was going to show, I went this morning to pull the deal up on my son's phone because I wanted to show what we had got, and they'd already cleared it. But did have this that was sent to his Gmail. And originally, the fight was supposed to be between those other 2 guys, and they canceled it, and then it went to the Irish guy, Gary. And that was a good fight to see. He won. But while I'm showing this, I'm going to show those other 2 tickets they gave us too. Hold on. These were the other 2 tickets that they gave us. This one and this other one. Okay? Seat 1 and 2. And guess what? There was a whole bunch of them sitting in those seats too. We had to crawl across. We got in the aisle, the row 12 that we were supposed to. But I don't know what we were in. Probably 8, 9 or something like that, or 9 or 10. And that's where we had to sit. Now, they were quiet over there. But, and like I say, those other 2 gals tried to do what they could at the security deal. What they called it Security Section 205. But what would have been better is if they could have got somebody down there to put these people in their place and made them set where they were supposed to. So that means anybody can sit anywhere they want to. So hold on. So guys, what do you think that is? That's a rat. That's a rat downtown. It was crossing in front of us. If you get a chance, check it out. That was on my 15-minute video. Hold on. And this guy here, this was the guy who was sitting here. Now, like I say, there was all homeless. The other ones sleeping wrapped up all around him, all over in a different area here and stuff. But he was what said, "This is Kansas City. Nothing to see here." I didn't even speak to the guy. He just started talking to me. Listen to the video. You can hear him. He just spoke to me. What a joke. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. I got several other videos coming. But, like I say, I would never go back to T-Mobile. And, you know, $200, whether it's $200, whether it's $1,000, you should be able to sit in your seat. And like I say, we've been everywhere. We've gone lots of different places, out of state and here. Never seen something run so just idiocracy. It was crazy. And not caring about anything. Just letting them run rapid everywhere. And, I mean, if you pay for a seat, you should be able to sit in that seat. You know what I'm saying? It's like being on an airplane. If you pay for a certain seat, if you want to be up in front or if you want to be in the tail end, you paid for that seat, then you should get that seat or you should get a refund, one of the two. And I mean, the thing of this was, we just wanted it stopped. We weren't looking for a refund. We weren't looking for no money. We were just looking to be able to watch the fight. Well, we got to see the last part of the several of them there. And at least, like I say, the main event was very good. I got Irish, English, and Cherokee Indian in me. And that was one good fight. Anyway, guys, this is Kansas City. And need I say more? Keep your eyes open and have a good one out there.